Welcome to another edition of Kyle Meredith with. It's the interview series presented by WFPK at WFPK.org, Consequence, and the Consequence Podcast Network. Thanks as always for making your way here, checking out the series. You know what to do. Like what you see, what you hear. Hit that subscribe button. I put out 3 new interviews every single week, so it's a great way to keep up with all of your favorite artists. And I am so excited, thrilled, and honored to be talking with Maseo of D.A.I.S.Y. Hello.
Good morning, Kyle. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. Such a fan for such a long time. Congratulations on finally having the music out here in the digital world. This feels like, I know it's bittersweet, but this feels like a really big new moment for you all.
A very bittersweet moment, but a huge moment at the same time. Yes, very huge. It's been over 20 plus years. The music having been available, performing it around the planet, and not being able to share it. It's been a bit daunting, but we're here.
Yeah. And let me, I should throw my condolences out there too, with the loss of your friend and bandmate with Dave, is a huge loss for the music community. And, we were all thinking about you all right away. So, yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, but here we are, here we are finally, as you said, 20 years of it not being available. And what is amazing to me is, for the era that we're in, for the digital era that we're in,
yeah,
when you're not there, when anyone's not there, it could be like they don't exist in some senses. But somehow that wasn't the case with De La Soul.
You almost begin to feel like you're being written out of history, when you're not there. Yeah.
But your name was around. Like, you didn't, like, I think that says so much, the testament of the power of your all's music and everything. I don't know. I mean, we've all sort of been following the story over these past 20 years or whatever, but take us back a little bit, so the streaming thing happens, and because of the rights of all of the songs and the legal issues with labels and sampling and all that, we know it took a long time. How did we finally get to this point?
Getting to this point, it was a company by the name of Reservoir Media that purchased the Tommy Boy catalog, and the new owners found it in their heart to make the deal right for us and to be on the right side of history and hip-hop culture. And, ultimately felt like for all the work that we put in, we truly deserved to get the rights of our music. So I want to applaud Reservoir Media for making it correct for us, feeling like it was something that we totally deserved. So I truly thank them for that.
To not have the rights to your own art, I mean, I can't think of anything more frustrating for a musician.
Well, here's what I try to tell a lot of artists and people who are on the other side of the spectrum. When you first come into this business, you come in not knowing anything, just knowing the talent that you have to offer, and you get help navigating through the business through either hiring an attorney, having a business manager, let alone having both. And also being in a different era and time when, let's try to compare it to real estate, when record deals are going around at market value. It was a different market value in the 80s that it is in the late 2000s, So, we're not having all of these tools that are existing today that actually lend to bargaining power and to making deals. So these are the tools that we didn't have back then. And back then, as a teenager, we wanted somebody to, or needed somebody to invest in our dream. So when somebody's investing their money in your dream, you got to understand that there's a lot you're going to have to give up for that to happen. And it's like going into any job. Any kid going to work for McDonald's or any job, or even at the bank, being a teller, you're not going on the first day to become manager. You got to put your time in to be able to get those accolades and make more money, you know. Well, for us, it was just that, but it got to the point where once we earned those accolades, the deal just wasn't really changing significantly, you know. There are many times we tried to come back to Tommy Boy throughout the course of our career and negotiate some things, and we've made some headway to get certain things. Even at that time, people would say, "Hey, go to another label," which those were options as well. But when you look around the corner at different other labels, they're not doing much different than what Tommy Boy is doing either. So they're all in this big pool of, you know, what they call standard practice together, you know. At some point, I superseded standard practice. We superseded standard practice. And that's where we reached to this day. But it definitely it should have happened a long time ago. It would have been nice for it to have happened under the Tommy Boy umbrella based on the history Tommy Boy has in hip hop culture and the history we shared with them. Unfortunately, the business couldn't pursue for it to continue that way, let alone the business had been unfair for years, you know. So to even try to sustain some sort of relationship with Tommy Boy had been very difficult. And I don't think it's even possible at this point because we wouldn't even be here this day had we made the decision to sign that bad deal. I don't think we would be, I don't think we would be celebrating this at all.
Yeah. Funny how that works out when in hindsight, what you can see.
So for the most part, all I can honestly say is it worked out for him, it worked out for Tom, and it worked out for us, you know. He was able to sell the catalog. It was publicized in the media. He made about a good $100 million, you know, and I believe he's okay. He's more than okay. So
I would say so.
There's no bad blood, just definitely having to go separate ways so we can succeed just as much as he has, you know.
Well, then just to have your songs back, to be able to do with them what you want to do with them, and that's got to be everything.
On the flip side, it's amazing for the fans to finally have it. It's amazing to look on all the streaming platforms and it's right there, like, wow, you know. It's amazing that there's a whole new generation that's grown up in hip hop that's getting to experience De-La-Soul for the actual first time, you know. I have to even admit that by the music not even being available, there was things that my kids weren't even really exposed to, you know. And behind moving so fast through life, hadn't been enough time to sit down and share the music. But it has been recently, in recent days. It's been a real pleasure amongst my family to really see how the music is available to them, and then they coming back to me, you know, like, oh my God, I didn't know it was like that. So it's been actually cool, man.
And
really
now you can join the ranks of all the other artists in the world that now you can start complaining about how little money you get from streaming. So
yeah, now I can complain about the other parts and fight for that, right? But at least, you know, at least I can be a part of fighting for it for the entire industry, not just us.
Never ever stops somehow, right? Somehow.
Yeah, don't stop. You know, they always figure out a way to chisel us.
But it is, the convenience is nice. I mean, I say this, not just, from a host here, but also on the radio side of what I do. We've been playing De La, but we have to find the discs, and sometimes that's easy, and sometimes it's not, and sometimes we have to go to pirate site. You have to go that extra mile just to play it.
YouTube or what have you. You know, there was even a moment that we felt the anguish, and we even gave the catalog away. For like it was one year we gave it away on a Valentine's Day for about 24 hours. We found some some Russian site that housed it. So it kind of kept us from getting out of trouble because all we did was share it from a site that was already pirating the music. So, but it was a frustrating moment to know, like, here we had, I think it was around our 20th anniversary, and it was frustrating. And then we just decided to give it for free, you know, just so, you know, because we were also embarking on a new audience at that time as well by hanging out with the Gorillaz and to perform with them. And there's a whole audience out there that just can't get the music. That is frustrating, bro.
Yeah, yeah.
Very frustrating.
And let me say, you know, while we're at that moment too, thank God about the relationship with the Gorillaz, because that has kept and you know, we played tracks from the last album, which is, you know, now about a decade ago too, but having always something coming through with Gorillaz, you know, whether it's, you know, super fast, I hear that one playing all the time, and I know you're on the newest one too. What has that relationship meant to you? I mean, you know, teaming up with Damon time and time again, I think De La is the only other consistent group on a Gorillaz albums on their discography, more besides the band himself.
There's a brotherhood that been developed there. We're like family with Damon. We are family with Damon. You know, I've spent time with his wife and children right in his home. You know, this is a relationship that, you know, the universe put right in our lap. You know, I think that's one of those many blessings that have come from the hard work we put in, and to be requested by him, and then to ultimately be inducted into his family, because he just feel there's an energy that he's a part of here, you know, and he really is, you know. He loved our brotherhood. He's seen us fight. He's seen us kiss and make up. Uh, you know, I think what he admired about us was everything that he could really achieve with his own group, you know, by continuing on as a group member, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of people don't know that's where he really comes from. And then, you know, being a part of the Blur. And then for the most part, then moving on, doing his own thing. But as you can see, the group thing is a thing for him because he has the Gorillaz, the ensemble of the Gorillaz. You know, granted, he's the main maestro of the program, but everyone plays a very strong role in that program. And they're a big family. They're a huge family. They're
Very
really
big,
huge.
right? Yeah.
And, you know, I remember him saying that the Gorillaz was like, it tended to be like a one-off project. And it's been coming back to haunt him just behind the love of the people he worked with, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And he like us, I learned that he's not one to try to repeat anything. He tries to move on to the next thing. But with this, he can't. It's just something about this. It's just been coming back to haunt him and everyone else for the love and the spirit of the music, though, you know, because he's not like somebody that has to tour, you know. He's not like somebody that needs the money, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's truly out there for artistic value, you know, and I got a lot of love for that. You know?
And I mean, you all complement each other so well. Again, when I think of De La
Totally.
and I think of Gorillaz, I think of you both at the same time.
I mean, there's, like I said, there's a brotherhood there that I think no one can deny. You know, you can even tell off stage. You know, we're family,
Yeah.
and it's a beautiful thing, man, that it happens over the music, man. You know, and we get to make these powerful songs together.
Yeah. What's the, I mean, does the process differ when you're working with him than if you were, you know, just doing De La stuff?
Um, the process is similar. Um, the creative process is very similar. I think no idea is a bad idea until we try it. You know,
Mm.
all egos is checked at the door. Everybody is doing their best to make a great song. You know, and he like us, I, he hears people on songs like instruments. You know, everybody's vocals technically is an instrument, and that's how he hears the track. So, you know, he comes to people with these ideas. Sometimes it may shift because even with us, Even with us, when we went to do Feel Good Inc., the initial song was Kids with Guns.
Hmm.
And when we were having a conversation about Kids with Guns, I honestly came out and said, hey, man, I think we forcing it. I said, I don't think this is the record. Kids with Guns, I think we're not really collaborating. We're just featuring on the record. It's like Gorillaz featuring De.A.I.S.Y. We really need to do like a collaboration, where we both artistically show our flavor. And sure enough, after a lot of weed and tequila, Feel Good Inc. came up. Feel Good Inc. came up. Dave's rhyme on the song is a spoof of Doodle Brown by Luke Skywalker.
Mhm.
If you really listen to the rhyme pattern and some of the cadence, the rhyme pattern, and some of the lines, the don't stop, get it, that's all a little bit of Luke Skywalker, Doodle Brown.
Wow. That's and thanks to weed and tequila, we have one of the biggest songs of that entire decade of this side of the millennium.
Uh-huh.
Incredible.
What record? What record is that?
Feel good. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
That's out of tequila, right? Oh shit.
Sometimes that's all it takes right there. That's noted.
Yeah. Tequila, a little smoke.
I do love that collaboration. I love seeing what you guys do. The Anonymous Nobody was such a fantastic record right there, and everything that's came along with it. And and I want to bring up the celebration too, because you guys just did the Daisy Experience. That was the live on stage, and I just watched it. So I watched it last night. I went back to YouTube. I watched the whole thing, and what an incredible night that must have been. How the stage didn't collapse. That's the first impressive parts.
Webster Hall holds up pretty tight.
Yeah, it does.
Those years, yeah. The architecture's great.
Yeah. What was that experience like for you? I mean, I was going to ask what the backstage was like, but I'm pretty sure the backstage was on the stage from everything that it looked like.
Um, Very bittersweet moment, you know. Seeing everybody that we pretty much grew up with in this business, people that we even helped out, when they came a little bit later, like a Common or whoever, or Talib Kweli. All of those people are definitely, our comrades and our family members in this business. I mean, I think people really are. One thing I think people are aware of are our relationships with the people that we worked with, and how they stood the test of time, and all those people that were there. It was a beautiful feeling. It was a sad moment at the same time. Um, that was supposed to be our grand old release date, which ended up turning into a memorial service for Dave. Um, we almost didn't do it, but I'm glad we did it. It was Paz who definitely put the battery in my back to be like, yo, Mase, we got to make this happen. And the image he put in my mind to make me feel like we needed to do that was he was like, look, man, we're gonna celebrate Dave's life like that scene in Beach Street with Ramon.
Mm-hmm.
And when he said that, I was like, I had more tears, and I was like, yes, that has to happen. Because we always made references to Beach Street or Wild Style or, something of that era. There's a big homage to that era from De La Soul. Mm-hmm. It's just what we really grew up on, what really inspired us, what really gave us chills to want to even be a part of this thing called hip hop, So, and to reflect on that scene in the movie, it was a sad moment, but bittersweet moment because it was a New Year's Eve party that they were looking to celebrate with their boy Ramon, who was one of the biggest graffiti artists, and yeah, Dave was our graffiti artist. Dave was our Ramon. Dave was the one who did all our haircuts. Dave is the one who actually drew the plug sign. His his artistic value in this group is top tier, very top tier. He had the bird's eye view of of this group, you know, the one that always brought something a little more quirky and different and unique, but funky, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And so much. I mean, one of the things I always loved about you all is the melody and soul that you brought to every song. Because,
Thank
you
you.
know, there hip hop, you know, was great. And for what, you know, you also brought to rap, but it was more than that. There was this soul in every song. There was this melody in every song. And I think that's what, for me, also makes you one of the greatest, you know, that you all pull off.
Thank you, man. And the music was inspiring. The things we grew up on, the things we listened to, the things our parents played, and then to continue on just learning more music and implementing other types of styles and sounds, and you know, continue to build this collage art, you know, of music that, you know, we either grew up on or we had the pleasure of traveling different countries and learning different styles and bringing it back home and trying to implement it in our body of work.
Yeah. It shows. It does. I was just also thinking I have the Beat Street cassette right over my shoulder. I can't grab it, but it's so close. The
Got the
soundtrack to
cassette.
that.
Gotta clap that up right there. He got the cassette. That's nice.
Right over there. If I could only grab it from where I am, but
Yes, yeah, that night was like, it was almost like a scene out of Wild Style and Beat Street, you know. Definitely the vibe and the energy of you know, the, you know, Morning Dave, that part, feeling like Ramon passed away, and then the other side of it was feeling like we were performing live at the amphitheater, you know, Wild Style Part 2, with all that energy on stage with the performances. And the highlight of the night for me was Latifah and Moni, because I haven't saw that in years. I think the last time I saw them together was like 91, you
yeah.
know.
And they
Yeah.
sounded great. They sounded great. I didn't expect it. Like what I was I was saying before the interview that you know, when I was watching it online, like I hadn't read a review. I didn't look to see if there was a set list. I just kind of went into it blind as if I'd, you know, been on the floor that night.
Mhm.
And they walk out, and you're like, oh my God, is this gonna happen? And sure enough.
We all walked into it kind of blind because it was something completely different was supposed to happen. And, and that happened.
Yeah.
I looked up, I think it was D.A.I.S.Y or Stretch Armstrong. One of them threw on ladies first, and it took off from there. And I was like, okay, let's go.
I see Moni do the backup vocals on, I think it was Me, Myself, and I, and Pause Every Time, would break down laughing almost at that
Uh-huh.
moment. It was so fun to watch.
Uh, love Moni. It's my little
Yeah.
sister. Yeah.
So so what happens next? I mean, is that the big question here? I mean, is there vault stuff? Is there AOI 3 that we're finally gonna, I mean, what happens next?
Oh, AOI 3 is definitely, it's going to take precedent. It's happening. AOI 3 is going to be the very next thing. Um, that's a responsibility that we have to our fans, a responsibility we even have to ourselves with completing that trilogy. And it pretty much it always stood on my shoulders, but it was something that had to take place after we did all of this, you know, because what was the sense of doing AOI 3 and 1 and 2 is not available.
Okay, that's true. That makes sense.
So it was a lot of little pebbles in the road that we had to kick out the way so we could get back to some of this. AOI 3 was always the plan even before Dave passed, so it still has to happen. At the same time, we have a responsibility to continue on just to sustain his legacy and what we've built as three childhood friends. And we have a responsibility to hip hop, you know, to be a part of something that had to be a force to be reckoned with you know, throughout music culture. You know, one of the youngest genres in music, the youngest genre in music. You know, I have to do it the same way. I have to do it till I die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's beautiful. It really is. I can't wait to hear it. I mean, is this stuff you guys have, was some of it already recorded, or are you starting fresh on it?
So a lot of stuff is fresh. A lot of stuff is fresh. There's a couple of ideas I've been sitting on for a while. Nothing had lyrics on it. Um, the stuff that had lyrics on it, we already kind of leaked it. That was Return of the DST, the Chuck D record, The People.
Mhm.
Um, the other one was that we leaked was the Return of the Wu.
Mhm.
We used the Wu Tang sample, the skit, the Wu Tang skit.
Mhm.
Those three records pretty much were supposed to be a part of AOI 3. And then there's another record that was done that we haven't released, but I'm gonna put it on the record because it holds up. Um, it's a song called Rise that we have with Yummy. Yeah, and it has a real disco roller skating vibe. And I think that's gonna fit really nice. And then the new stuff that I have that, you know, that's been coming up is feeling real good.
Yeah.
Really, yeah.
I can't wait to hear. I mean, seriously, of course, I can't wait to hear it. You know, we're all fans, and we're all greedy fans, and we just want, we want, and we want, and thank God you guys keep giving.
Every time I every time I do my Twitch show, when I do a DJ a De set, I play the Yummy record. I will play that one. Yeah. That one is actually produced by Minnesota. I don't know if you know who Minnesota is. Minnesota is he produced some stuff for Most Def
Okay.
back in the day, but he's from a group called Money Boss Players.
All right.
And it was him, Lord Tariq, and Peter Guns, and somebody else, and they were known as Money Boss Players. They also had a record with Biggie back in the day. I think it was called Time or something like that, or Big Time. I think it's called Big Time. Incredible record, incredible, like one of the hottest underground hip hop records,
I,
literally.
I got some homework to do after this one.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
appreciate that. Yeah.
Money Boss Players.
Right
Yep,
on.
and
Well,
they're from Harlem.
yeah. Well, I'll be looking forward to all of it, to AOI 3, and of course, again, it's just so nice having the back catalog there. Kind of just listening to actually Fallen is what I was listening to before we did the interview today. That's
With Judgment
Judgment
Night,
Night soundtrack. Yeah.
that was fun. That was fun. I
Teamed up with
remember.
the Teenage Fan Club. Is that right? Yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Meeting them for the first time and trying to figure it out. That was really cool. Yeah.
It's a fun one to go back to. Mase, thank you so much for continuing to do what you do. Congratulations again on finally, as you all said in the Daisy Experience live show, of landing that plane to get to this point. And I'm so excited to hear that you're going forward. And thanks for taking the
Yeah,
time to talk about it.
you're gonna see us on stage. We getting ready to move around with Dave Chappelle a little bit. We getting ready to move around with Robert Glasper a little bit.
All right.
So you'll definitely see us on stage. You know, trying to keep things going, keep the light on with the De.I.S.Y light, and represent Dave's legacy, man. If we stop, he stops. So that's just how it got to go. I want to thank you because that smile on your face lets me know you've been down for a minute. So I appreciate that smile, you know, and, you know, telling your audience and whoever's checking for you about De.I.S.Y, man. I really appreciate that, man.
We'll always be here for you.
That sound in your voice says De.I.S.Y means something to you. So thank you, bro.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I always will. And I mean that. I seriously mean that.
Thank you.
All right. Maceo, thank you so much for taking the time. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you. Same here.
All right. Take care. We'll see you around.
Have a good day, bro.
And thanks to my guest. Also, thanks to you for checking out the episode in the series. Before you get out of here, hit that subscribe button. Again, you get 3 brand new interviews every single week, new one every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. at right here on YouTube, or of course anywhere in podcast land, including iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Podchaser, NPR, or WFPK.org as well. A great way to keep up with your favorite artists and discover new ones as well. Then after that, actually head over to WFPK.org. That's where I do a show Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern. It's an hour full of song premieres, music news, anniversary spins, bonus interviews, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern at WFPK.org. Consequence has your music and film news. You can also find me on the social media spots, Facebook, Instagram, mostly on Twitter. All three of them, the address is at Kyle Meredith. Do hope you like and follow along. That does it for another edition. I'm Kyle Meredith. I'll see you next time.